Welcome Neil, and welcome my Read.ai AI note-taking software. How's everyone doing? How's mom? How's that? Oh, so let me just introduce everyone. Everyone, this is David Cedarbaum. I'll actually pause the music. Um, David, this is Sheila, my mother, tuning in from Scottsdale, Arizona. Now,
That's your
thank
mom?
you.
Great note
Yeah, that's my
taker.
mom. And no, not no, no, no. There's another note taker. There's
Ah,
an AI.
No, I'm not taking notes.
No, no. Yeah, and David Lethko's tuning in right now. We have David Lethko's hopping in on the Zoom as well as a guest. Um, I don't see him screen. Oh, Tikva. Yes. Tikva Hernandez, Dr. Hernandez is on. Dr. Hernandez um, is our co-teacher. We also have Sheldon Perlis, my father-in-law, tuning in all the way from Los Angeles, California. I'm tuning in from the Big Apple, New York City. And I was actually going to play some, I guess a lot of us are here already. So I don't have to play the background music, but I was going to play some joy. This is a Niggin Simcha. This is a joyous Niggin. So I thought it'd be just nice to start off, lighten up the mood a bit. Go. Oh, we have another doctor joining the group, Dr. Seamus. Shalom, Dr. Seamus. Shalom, Dr. Hernandez.
Hello.
So, hi, Tikva. So this is, here, maybe okay, so much for, okay, so I'll just stop the joyous music. You can just keep playing that in your heads. Just want to have a nice, joyous energy to start off the festivities because it's create that atmosphere on the Zoom. It's a little harder than when you're in person. But Tikva, Dr. Hernandez is officially the co-teacher of the class as a special requirement for the course to be able to be certified for psychology professionals, PhD psych, and others. Oh, we have Diane Fleizik tuning in all the way from who just joined the course this week, all the way from Snowflake, Arizona.
Yay.
Hi, Diane.
Yay.
Welcome. You can unmute yourself, but only temporarily because we don't want to. Anyways, anywho,
Okay.
raise. Oh, I want to try a new fun feature in this Zoom. Can everyone react with a thumbs up if you have the course textbook or a PDF of the course textbook? Nice. Oh my gosh, that is so fun. Okay, Daniel Levy, I'm gonna have to give him some marks. Daniel, we're waiting for you.
sorry.
We're
It's
testing
the
out
call. I answered. Okay.
we're testing your reaction skills. So we want you to react with a thumbs up if you have your textbook
Action.
or a PDF of the textbook. You know how to react to Zoom? Oh, there we go. I see that. Do you guys see the thumbs up icons
Yeah.
blowing up? That is really fun. Okay. Who would have thought Zooms are so much fun? Okay.
Can you move the people over to the side?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And the only reason actually I'm going to, even better, I'm going to share my screen. So first, before we start, I just want to do oh wait, we have Dr. Seamus raise his hand. I'm just going to do, everyone smile really quick because I want to do like a class picture. So we can do a screenshot. 1, 2, 3, smile. That work? Did I just do a screenshot or not? Anyways, I'll do a screenshot later. Oh, here. I'm sure that worked. Oh, there we go. Okay, right when everyone was getting serious. That's okay. So I got a nice family picture, class picture. Okay, good. Now let's start. We only have an hour, so we're gonna move. We're gonna move quick, and it's gonna be extremely meaningful. I just want to let you know I spent the entire day today completely jet lagged, but we for hours speaking to the author of the course himself, of the course How Happiness Thinks, along with other staff at JLI at their headquarters in Brooklyn, New York. It was an absolutely incredible experience. I'm going to minimize this. There we go. Okay, so there. Okay, that's better. Okay, so yeah, it was absolutely incredible experience, and we were able to ask questions on the course and learning, different skills on how to improve and everything. So it was definitely extremely meaningful experience to be able to be a part of that. I would love to um, get a feel from the group, how you felt about last week's course. Just anyone want to chime in, and specifically about the general idea of happiness and about incorporating more gratitude into our lives. And if anyone was able to kind of work on that this past week, and if they were able to see any benefit in their lives as a result of it. Anyone want to chime in? If you chime in, make sure to unmute yourself, because otherwise we won't be able to hear you. Not everyone at once. For Dr. Seamus and for some of our new people, they may have not been here last week on the Zoom. So, but most people were either able to watch the Zoom or do the makeup. Right. Okay. Everyone's muted. Okay. Except for David. Anyways, did everyone get a chance to do the exercise at the end on page 26? Yeah? Okay. David, do you want to share something about gratitude? I know you're always like to share, so it'd be nice to just have one quick
Rabbi,
something small.
you got a couple of Davids, so you better figure out who's
Oh
who.
no.
I'll be David C.
Maybe David's okay. So David C, maybe since you already are unmuted, why don't you just share something from the recording? Were able
Well,
to watch the recording?
I absolutely. Um, this is going to be a
Mhm.
little funny, but I haven't gotten
Mhm.
much sleep since I watched that thing. I'm deathly afraid you guys are going to convince me I shouldn't be happy. That I'm
No,
thinking
no, no,
about it
no, God
all,
forbid.
that I'm thinking about it all wrong, and I've got the wrong thing. But I hope that won't happen. I've really made a decision to just
Mhm.
use the words a little bit more.
Mhm.
I went for a 20-mile bike ride today, and I'm grateful I'm physically able to do that. And I said that to my wife.
That's
And I
amazing.
think saying it out loud more would be much better. So that's what I'm going to try to do for the next week. I'm going to actually verbalize. I said to
Mhm.
Jackie, I'm very grateful for you in my life, and I never tell you. And she said, you tell me all the time, just not in that way. So
Oh.
I'm going to start verbalizing more things that I'm grateful for.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. That is really great. Um, wow. Thank you so much for sharing. I saw someone posted in the chat. Unfortunately, I'm not able to read the chat, but I'm gonna open up the class as well on my phone. So that way I'll be able to read the chats as well. So bear with me. Sorry, one sec. Let me just pause that. Okay, there we go. Okay, great. Okay, so now, okay, this is actually amazing. Now I can see all you guys from my phone, and then that way I can see your reactions and everything. We're good. Can everyone still hear me okay? You can just give me a regular thumbs up. Okay,
Yes.
awesome. Okay, So last week was all about our gratitude, recognizing the importance of happiness in general, and gratitude, incorporating gratitude into our life. Now, this week is all about the idea of, well, I might be the most grateful person in the world, but what if I don't have a good, positive view of myself? I can be the most grateful thing about all the external things that happen to me, but I don't have a positive view of myself. So we're going to explore the idea of self-worth and self-esteem. And then also on top of that, explore the idea of what if we have too much self-worth and we think we're all great? How do we balance that with humility and all that from the Jewish perspective? So we're going to start on page 50 of the student textbook and briefly jot down, do this exercise 2.1 on your self-esteem. The scoring did not come out 100%, but it's just a good way to just take a couple minutes and just think about how you view your self-esteem and just to help get your creative juices flowing on the topic. So maybe let's give everyone 60 seconds to kind of jot down the answers for that. Okay. Go. Okay. Okay. I'm going to read okay. You're doing great. If anyone wants to say anything, don't hesitate to unmute yourself. Okay. Now that everyone had a chance to do text one, to do the exercise, maybe we'll start with, maybe we'll have Daniel read text 1 on page 52, because you're on the top left of my screen. So we'll go with that.
Page 52. You got it. Negative
That's right.
self-perception.
Mm-hmm.
Although many people are aware that they have little self-confidence and that they harbor feelings of inadequacy, they believe these feelings are justified because they are convinced their inadequacies are real. Quite often, this self-perception is incorrect, and the low self-esteem and poor self-confidence are in reality unjustified. Many people see themselves as less than what they really are in reality, and they are fully convinced that their perceptions are absolutely correct. Others' opinions to the contrary and even concrete evidence to their excellence may have little or no impact. As I studied the negative self-image problem, I found that the most profound feelings of low self-esteem paradoxically occur most oftenly in those who are in reality most gifted and competent. It appears that the person who develops a negative self-image sees himself as if he were looking through a trick lens, which distorts the perceptions in such a manner that the person sees himself as the opposite of what he really is.
Yeah. So we find a very powerful idea like this in the Torah with the story of the spies. So I don't know how many of you guys know the story of the spies. We have a very diverse crowd here. The story of the spies is basically, maybe we can have one of our religious people. Maybe Dr. Seamus, you want to tell us basic story of the spies, just for the people that are a little less.
Oh, the spies, yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, they go. They check out Eretz Canaan,
Mm-hmm.
and they come back with an exaggerated story about how horrible it's going to be, instead of showing
Yeah.
the beauty and the wonder and the challenge. And so they tried to turn all Israel against Moses, and because they didn't want to cross into the land.
Beautiful. So we're going to see in text 2 on page 53 how is really their self-perception, their negative and false self-perception of who they were that created that negative reality. So maybe Dr. Seamus, since I already called you, why don't you quickly read text 2?
Yeah, what page is that again?
This is page 53. Page 53.
Yeah, I lost the. Okay.
That's all good.
No, my pleasure.
Hmm.
There
for it.
were we saw giants of immense height. In our eyes, we seemed like grasshoppers, and we looked the same to them. So, what causes
Very
people to harbor negative beliefs about themselves that are not grounded in reality?
Yeah, so if you look at the verse in text 2, it says, "In our eyes we seemed like grasshoppers, and we looked the same to them." Meaning to say that the fact that they saw themselves like grasshoppers created that reality that looked the same to that the enemies saw them as grasshoppers. So it created that negative reality.
It's almost, Rabbi, from a psychology
Yeah.
perspective, like we have cognitive distortions from a cognitive
Hmm.
behavioral approach. I'm sure for,
Hmm.
Dr. Seamus and for Daniel Levy, who
Yeah.
are both counselors and psychologists. When you don't feel good about yourself and you have negative thoughts about yourself, it's going to impact whether or
Mhm.
not you're going to have simcha and joy. And a lot of it just has to be the lens that you are perceiving things. And a lot of it had to do with basically past experiences that you had that makes you think, okay, well, then in the future, this is how everyone else is going to treat me. If you were bullied, for example, or whatever the case may be. So then those situations kind of distort, kind of like a smudge on the lens of your glasses, how you seeing things, and it leads to these negative perceptions about yourself and the things around you.
Well said. Well said. Thank you so much. Um,
I thought it was interesting just to add on top of that, that the second paragraph of what you had me read added another,
yeah.
which is I was making a note, like, if I know, let's say I'm accurately looking at myself, and I know I'm doing an 8, but am I an 8 out of
Mhm.
18 or am I an 8 out of 6? So in other words, if I'm an 8 out of 18, I'm think I'm not measuring up. I'm not good enough. I'm not doing my potential. Because he said that like a lot of the most profound feelings come from people who are very, very talented.
Mhm.
Because I'm measuring, my measuring stick is like what I'm capable of, and then where do I measure up to? But if I was really, in whatever it is, only capable of a lower amount, and I'm doing even better than that, whoa, very nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Great point. So really the whole ultimate point of this is to really recognize, how do we fill the void of existential emptiness? How do we make sure that we have a positive self-concept or self-perception, that we don't come to these negative beliefs about ourselves, which can create this ripple effect and snowball into causing negative things to happen, like in the story of the spies. So the answer really is with text 3, that we're really all created in the divine image. Maybe we'll have unfortunately I'm having a little challenge with being able to see other people. Maybe we'll have Tikva, Dr. Hernandez. Maybe we'll have you read text 3. Oh, you got to unmute yourself. Sorry.
Sorry,
That's okay.
I'm
You're fine.
terrible with Zoom. Sorry. God
Yeah.
created humankind in his image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. He created
Mhm.
them. God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and over all the beasts that tread upon the earth."
Beautiful. So we see here that humankind, we're created in God's image. So when we recognize that, that fills us with a sense of pride that, wow, I am created for this very unique, special divine purpose that no one else can fulfill, because I have a piece of divine within me. And this idea is going to be even further emphasized and stressed in text 4. Maybe we'll have Ima or Tai, would you like to read text 4 on page
Rabbi, can I ask a
56?
question?
Yeah, please.
This is Dave Cedarbaum. Daniel, hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet
I'm
you.
wondering why it matters if we think we're 8 of 18, as long as we feel really good about ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we have a whole panel of psychological professionals here. So
I mean, that's
maybe
a
we'll let
good
one of the
point.
panelists.
David, like if you feel good about yourself, then it doesn't matter. I'm with you. But if the 8 out of 18 metaphor, like if I think I should be, like a should be, we have a lot of should be's in our head sometimes. Like I have a
Mhm.
should idea, like I should be performing at a much higher level, and I see I'm performing at a low level, then sometimes people think, oh, I'm really I never measured up. I'm not what my father thought I should be. I'm not what I
Oh.
think I'm capable of. And then those type of negative thoughts. But if you could think 8 out of 18 and that doesn't happen, I'm with you 100%. It doesn't matter whatsoever.
Thanks for
Well,
explaining that.
I
appreciate
think,
it.
yeah, thank you for asking that question. I think a lot of it comes down to recognizing that we have inherent meaning and purpose in our lives that are beyond what we've accomplished or not accomplished. That our value is inherent to who we are and not necessarily dependent on what we accomplish or did not accomplish, even though we want to accomplish many things. Okay, my mother, Sheila, has raised her hands very nicely. So
I have many thoughts
Sheila.
on this. I mean, when you guys were talking a little bit before, I mean, high performing individuals tend to set the bar high for themselves, you know, and
Mhm.
then and always, and in a lot of cases, are keep raising the bar, right? So you
Mhm.
meet the bar, but then you raise the bar. And you know, there's always that feeling of like the imposter syndrome, you know, like I'm, oh, maybe I'm not as great as I think I am or whatever.
Yeah.
That's kind of one aspect of it. The other thing I was thinking about was I got to the lecture last night with Mitch Albom, who wrote
Mm.
Tuesdays with Maury. And I don't know if anyone else was able to attend that. It was really terrific. And you know, he talked a lot about ego, and that, you know, that a lot of his life was driven by success and material success, but also success in you know, writing, you know, and sportscasting and all that stuff like that, and didn't find happiness in that. He found the happiness in actually when he became geared towards others, you know, and felt that in a lot
Ah,
of ways his ego was in the way, you know, that he was driven by ego all those years, and he was, by everybody's measure, was very successful, but that he really wasn't successful until he found happiness in helping others. I mean, that's a whole separate
that's
discussion.
actually perfect. Actually, that's the perfect transition to what we're going to get into right after this. So I'm really happy you brought that
Oh,
up.
okay. All right.
Okay.
Good.
Mom, since you're already unmuted, why don't you read text 4 on page 56?
Okay, I gotta lower my hand here. Okay. 4. Okay. Initially, only one human being was created. This is to teach us that one who destroys a single life is considered to have destroyed an entire world, and one who saves a single life is considered to have saved an entire world. It also communicates the greatness of God. For when a person mints many coins from the same mold, all the coins are alike. But God mints every person through the mold of the first human, and yet no two people are alike. Therefore, every person must say, the world was created for me.
Yeah. So that's a really beautiful teaching. It's one of my favorite beautiful teachings. Wait, we're a few slides behind. Um, yeah, so it's so powerful to recognize that really the world was created for me, that each individual has unique purpose. And we should therefore have a very positive self-esteem about ourselves. But is that what's going to bring us true happiness? Or do we have to temper that with a certain level of humility and mission? So that is what we're going to get to on the next slide. Let's see. Oh, that's not it. Am I behind or ahead? I don't even know. Let me see. Because there's a video. One sec. Let's just check out this video here. Should be a video on the next slide. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so this is the idea of each person has a unique purpose. Here, oh, here's the video. Okay. Can everyone hear that? Everyone can hear?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, sorry. Thank you. Okay. Sorry about the technical difficulties. It's a little harder doing the Zoom on the road with more, limited technology. Okay, thank you.
If humanity is an enormous extended family, we stand to gain an estimated average of 380,000 siblings each day. That's the staggering rate at which babies are born into this sunny planet, which kind of makes us, as individuals, as redundant as a drop of rain amid a raging rainstorm, doesn't it? Well, Judaism dares to differ. The Torah begins with a narrative of absolute creation. God creates things into being from sheer nothingness. God is not stingy. He creates countless cows, dozens of doves, and battalions of butterflies. He commands into existence sufficient shrubs, trees, and delightful daffodils to swaddle the newborn landscape in lush foliage. When all is set up and running, God turns his attention to the point of it all: the creation of unique creatures whose bodies, carved from the clay of corporality, and spirits hewn from the heights of heaven, would serve as bridges between Creator and creation. At that point, God makes an astonishing move. Instead of hatching a herd of humans or composing a complete population, God creates just one, a single lonely mortal. The ancient Jewish sages explain this mystery. God was sending a message to each individual across all of time and under any circumstance. You matter. Not as a drop in an endless flow of people. Not as a statistic, but as an individual. You are equal to all of humanity in God's eyes. No, you didn't choose to be born, but God chose to create you because his world was incomplete without you. You are irreplaceable to him, and he delighted in your birth, just as he rejoiced over the first human. Your actions are no less meaningful and precious than that of the first person upon whom the eyes of all the heavens and the fate of all the earth rested. Your birth was a divine statement, a divine investment. It was God himself singing out loud into your ears, "You matter. Believe in yourself."
Yay, beautiful. I don't know how to get rid of this red line here, and I'm afraid if I try, I will make it worse. So I apologize in advance about that. But that video did a great job really summarizing the main themes of the first few sources we looked at about how each one of us has a unique intrinsic value no matter what we accomplish in this world, or not just because we're here. And the very fact that we're here shows that we matter. And nothing is a better reminder of that than the idea of a birthday. And that's why, and at least in the Chabad tradition, the birthday is really treated in a very high esteem, very significant, celebrating a birthday, because it is this reminder on an annual basis of that. Why don't we have my mother-in-law or father-in-law, Ty, you want to read? You want to read the text 5 on page 57? This is an incredible book, by the way. Toward a Meaningful Life by Simon Jacobson. Highly recommend it. Okay, go for it.
Birth is God saying you matter. Your birth was not an accident. God chooses to cash
Each
of us to fulfill a specific mission in this world. Just as the computer arranges just as a composer arranges each musical note, take away one note, and the entire composition is affected. Each person matters. Each person is irreplaceable. Many people seem to feel that because We didn't choose to enter the world. Our birth is a stroke of coincidence or serendipity. This couldn't be further from the truth. Birth is God's way of saying that he has invested his will and energy into creating you. God feels great joy when you are born, the greatest pleasure imaginable. For the moment of birth realizes his intention in
Wanting you.
wanting you.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you so much, for sharing that. Um, yeah, birth shows that we matter, and we all have a mission in this world. And the whole idea is that, we don't necessarily know what that mission is, but we know that we have a unique mission because the very fact that we're here is proof of that. And hopefully over the next couple lessons, we're actually going to take more of a deep dive into who we are, as individuals, and really help fine tune what exactly is that mission for us as individuals, by getting to know ourselves more. But that's not the purpose of this lesson. This lesson, the main purpose is to understand that we are special, we are holy, we are wonderful, we are pure, and we can accomplish so much. And we know that's true because we're here. And text 6 kind of further stresses this point. Maybe I will have David. Why don't you, Lethko. David Lethko, why don't you read text 6, self-concept.
Text 6, self-concept.
Oh wait, but I
Just
want to
as-
interject. The word self-concept, I had a big debate with my wife and the other teachers about this course. Self-concept is basically the same thing as your perception of self, or your self-image, or could even be translated as your ego, except the word ego has a negative connotation. But your self is not to be confused with your self-esteem, which is the emotions that result from your self-concept. They're very interrelated. Okay, go ahead. Hit.
Just as we must believe in God, so too we must afterward believe in ourselves, that God cares about us, that we are not worthless laborers, that we possess divine souls, and that God takes pleasure and joy when we fulfill his desire.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So this is a very central idea of the Torah, that we all have a spark of godliness within us. So just as much as it's important to believe in God, you got to believe in yourself because you have a spark of God within you. So part of believing in God is believing in yourself. Okay. Now we're going to try to see if anyone wants to, maybe Diane or Neil, anyone that hasn't got a chance to read a text yet. How might the aforementioned ideas help us deal with a low self-esteem that stems from comparing oneself to others? If anyone wants to unmute yourself and shout out what you think that these ideas, how can they help us deal with a low self-esteem? I mean, it's just summarizing, just affirming the knowledge that we just gained over these past few sources. Does anyone want to share? Like quick? Bing, 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 bing. Anyone want to maybe,
Rabbi,
oh, there you go.
if you
Go
tell
for
me
it.
where we are, I'm
Oh,
following.
sorry. Yeah,
on-
sure. We're on page, we are on page 58.
Which
The
is
question-
68. No, 58.
68, that's what I meant. No, 58.
Yeah,
5,
you're right.
8.
Yeah, 58.
58.
I
We
showed
have to
text. Is it text 7?
We're about to read text 7, but I was just wanted to probe the discussion. Maybe Tikva would like to answer, or Diane or Neil. What we went through 6 sources so far, really building ourselves up, saying the importance of who we are as as a person, as created beings, and why we are unique and special. So how can that help us with self-esteem? It's not really a trick question. It's just more of like trying to really solidify, make sure we really understood. Does that make sense?
I think the
I think
question
that
is,
I
Oh.
think that there is when you have if you have you have low self-esteem from comparing yourself to others, you should really, just change that a little bit, and that should inspire you to be better rather than comparing yourself and looking at yourself as lowly. I think that's important to do.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, Dan, what do you want to say?
Well, I think comparing oneself to others is really sort of like digging a hole and digging and digging and digging, because it gets you nowhere. If you assume it's, by the way, I have no psychological background. I might be psychologically a misfit, but I don't know. I'm a lawyer, so I don't fit in with this group at all. And everything I know is from watching people to make sure they're going to make a decision in favor of my client. So I'm a manipulator. That's what I did for a living. I manipulated people with words. But I think if we accept the premise proposed by Judaism that we are individuals created by God specifically to be individuals, to assume a specific and carry out a specific idea or mission, by comparing ourselves to others, we're essentially disregarding God's idea for us. And so we have to look at ourselves as an individual in relationship to finding what God wants and how he wants us to behave and what he wants us to accomplish. And if we spend our time comparing ourselves to someone else, we're not accomplishing our goal, because some other person is going to have a completely different mission, a completely different raison d'etre, and we are not being good Jews.
Yeah, beautiful. Well said.
That's
And we
my
have to really know where our strengths are, where our weaknesses are, and really come to know ourselves more. And then it's a good transition into text 7, page 60.
I was also just going to add the same, similar
please.
in that we all have our own individualized purpose that's based on our own unique skills and our own unique qualities that we have that's going to help fulfill whatever purpose that Hashem wants us to have. And when we compare ourselves to other people, we all have different missions, and it takes us away from that purpose and also takes us away from seeing ourselves as being in the image of Hashem. Because we
Yeah.
now saying, well, hey, that person is doing this and I'm not, and that person does something better than I do. But everyone's supposed to have a unique quality because that's their purpose that they're fulfilling for Hashem. So it's supposed to be somewhat different. So that's why comparison actually ends up decreasing our self-esteem and makes us feel bad about ourselves, which in turn doesn't help us to fulfill our purpose at all, or even figuring out what our purpose is.
Yeah, well said. Well said. David, please chime in. I saw you raise your hand, but before you chime in, I'd just like to say on a personal level, I think just teaching this course this Monday in Payson just helped me overcome, like it's so tempting, especially going on like social media, and you see, oh wow, this friend of mine is doing this amazing thing and that friend of mine is doing that amazing thing, or going on either accomplishing something amazing professionally or or whatever it may be. This is all great, and sometimes it's good to be motivated by your peers, but at the same time to recognize that you have a unique mission and goal in this world that is not theirs, and that you should be proud of that, and not the only person that you're comparing yourself to is yourself. And I feel like it's already, even just from between just over the past couple of days, it's just already helped me just like be able to, first of all, limit my social media usage to, and then also whenever I am on social media to just take it with a grain of salt. Say, hey, I want to connect to my friends, but at the same time, I also want to, I don't want to, become sad or depressed because I'm not them, which is not true. Which is you're not them. you're meant to be you. You're meant to be the best you that you can be. So, David, what do you want to add?
Well, I really like that question. It was very specific. It stems from comparing oneself to others. I think that comparing yourself to others is a really great way to create resentment that you're not in their position. And
Mhm.
so far from all the different texts that we're reading, gratitude seems to really be the key thing that we keep hearing, because when we're not
Mhm.
grateful about what we have, successful people will, as we were talking about, will often have difficulties with being happy with where they're at, always thinking that there's more that needs to get done. And I find there's not often enough that we tell ourselves good things and take a moment to just be grateful for what we have, instead of focused on what the other guy has, what I see on social media. We start
Mhm.
off with just, I think it's really important what we say to ourselves, what our inner monologue is. How do you talk to yourself? I notice I talk to myself very nicely. I have a great self-esteem. But that starts to show. I hear people when they're complaining or telling me about their problems. I listen to the way that they're talking to themselves, and there usually seems to be a reoccurring theme. There's this statement, we're made in God's image. I've always associated that with, it's obviously a metaphor. We don't know God's exact image, but we can speak. We use the metaphor that God speaks. God creates with the speech and the letters. So I think there's a connection with the way we're talking to ourselves, the reality we're creating. Where did those thoughts, those ideas, what beliefs are creating those? I think you're on a great subject.
Perfect. David, since you're already on a roll, why don't you read text 7, page 60? Unless I already asked you, but it's okay. You'll forgive me if I asked you to read
Text
twice.
7, page 60,
Yeah.
recognizing strengths.
Yeah.
In response to your letter with your complaints about your spiritual status, I assume you read my talks in which I explained that a condition for orderly spiritual growth is to avoid burdening yourself with foundationless accusations and claims. If you desire to improve, then just as you need to know your shortcomings, so you must know your personal strengths. This is important because spiritual growth hinges on a positive mood, not on constant self-degradation.
Degradation.
You have degradation. You have a number of things, both in terms of your studies as well as your actions, that should make you happy about yourself. Knowing these will give you the power to pursue spiritual growth.
So we find in specifically the Hasidic tradition, and more specifically the Chabad Hasidic tradition, is really to completely not ignore our faults, but not to overemphasize them. To really, the more we can focus on our positive qualities, our positive strengths, and what's good about us, then the better off we will be. So, as we saw in that last text. Okay. This next text, I don't want to give it away, but I did my class in Payson on Monday, it was just so beautiful to see everyone's eyes like bulge, like, whoa. It was kind of almost like a shocker to the system. Because it's a very, very novel concept that the Rebbe teaches that might even seem contrary to the way you may have grown up, or may have perceived your the way your soul works in terms of reward and punishment, all that. Maybe Tikva, or Dr. Hernandez, I should say, would you like to read text 8, page 61?
Sure.
Yeah.
There is a well-known teaching of the Rebbe's of Chabad. Just as we need to know the defects, so too we need to know our strengths.
Mhm.
The anomaly in this phrase is that it says our strengths. With regard to defects, it merely states the defects, not our defects. What is the reason for this? Leviticus 4:2 states, when a soul sins and discusses the process of recertification, the Zohar, however, phrases this is a question. A soul sinned. Is that possible? Meaning the concept of sin is completely alien to our being. Even when we stumble, God forbid, it does not undermine who we are. Rather, it is something outside of our nature that has latched onto us. We are residents of a material and mundane world. It is therefore possible for something unholy to attach itself to us. Through this, it is a defect. In a sense, it is not our defect, but a defect imposed on us by our environment.
Yeah. So I think the reason why people were so surprised in the pacing class was that they were saying, well, wait a minute, I was always brought up, my upbringing was told like I'm bad, like I do, I'm not worthy, I'm this, I'm that, all these negative beliefs about themselves. But the Rebbe's teaching, which is based on different Kabbalistic and Hasidic sources, is that really, maybe when we do not such great things, our soul, at more external dimensions of our soul gets blemished, but we have this core internal dimension of our soul that is so beyond the idea of being blemished that that it can literally never be blemished. So that it can't be that a soul sins, meaning that this essence of the soul sins is completely beyond the concept of sinning.
I was going to say is that's the total opposite of some Christianity concept of original
Yeah.
sin.
Oh, for sure. Literally. Yeah, it literally is the opposite. Exactly. So I think humility is not low self-esteem, self-dependent, but we have to find a middle path. So this is actually gonna really help transition into the idea that we want to talk about next, which is humility. Because I'm going to quote, my mother is an architect. So quote Frank Lloyd Wright. Apparently, this is the quote. I'm going to read it from my book here. You guys don't have it, but it's in mine. Early in life, I had to choose between honest arrogance and hypocritical humility. So he then added, I chose the former and I have no reason to change. So he felt that you can't be you can't be honest and humble at the same time. That you have to choose one or the other. So Hasidic teachings actually disagree with his approach. That there actually is a way that you can actually attain both. And it's very nuanced.
And he was successful, but he was maybe not so happy.
Yeah. So there you go. Very good. And you probably know a little bit about his life. Like he actually lived like a relatively, like it was kind of a known thing that he wasn't.
Well,
right?
he was not gonna.
Who knows?
He had there was a lot of stuff drama in his life.
Yeah. Now this is a very quick, easy, fun exercise on page 64. Exercise 2.2, defining humility. So we're not gonna make anyone answer, but if anyone wants to just check off the circle that you would feel most. How do you define humility? Oh, you can actually check all that apply. How do you actually define humility? Because what we're gonna teach right now is that it's not just a middle ground between low self-esteem and arrogance. That we want to be able to have a high self-esteem while at the same time being ultimately humble, and that both are possible at the same time. And the hint will be in this image of the violinist. But before I give it away, maybe I'll explain the answer in the context of the violin right now, because we already have the slide. So violinists, let's say, imagine that they're the most incredible top tier violinists in the New York Philharmonic Orchestra, right? They are the most best thing since sliced bread violinists you could ever have, but they're a part of a 120-piece orchestra playing a piece. So in that moment, the violinist kind of has to lose their sense of self in that moment. That it's not a, they know they're great and they know they're special, but they're not focused on them. They're focused on the task at hand, which is to play incredible music and to kind of nullify oneself with a sense of humility. And in Hasidic terminology, it'd be called bittul, which means like a self-nullification to the greater cause, which is the music, and to blend in with the other players in the orchestra. Okay, text 9. Maybe Dr. Seamus, you want to read?
Yeah, no problem.
Page
Humility.
65.
Yeah, humility is not synonymous with feelings of inferiority or with not finding within yourself any good or with thinking that you are on a bad path, God forbid. To have humility means to not sense yourself. Although you are good and on the correct path in matters of Torah and mitzvos, and although you are committed to serving God and with great sacrifice, nevertheless, you do not self-aggrandize or think that you have reached some unique level. It is not that you do not know about your good. It's that you don't claim credit or think that you have earned special standing. And this results from being completely unabsorbed in yourself.
Yeah, so like I guess the analogy of the violinist is completely unabsorbed in themselves because they're completely engrossed in the purpose of themselves, which is to fulfill their mission in this world. And in the case of the violinist, would be to play that violin in concert with the piece and at hand, and the performance at hand. And a beautiful, really powerful analogy. We're gonna see two uses of this analogy. One from a Jewish source. Actually, they're both Jews. One from the previous Chabad Rebbe in text 10, and then one from Viktor Frankl in text 11 that really, really drive this point home. And what does true humility mean? Okay. Maybe Neil, are you up to reading a source? Or maybe how about Neil, I'll have you read text 11, and maybe Neil, do you wanna quickly read text 10?
Sure, I'll go ahead and do that.
Go for it.
Healthy soul's selflessness. If you are feeling your head or one of your limbs, it indicates illness. Healthy people do not feel their limbs. The same applies in the spiritual sense. If you are feeling your own existence, it indicates an illness of character, namely arrogance. Those who are spiritually healthy do not feel themselves.
Yeah, thank you so much, Neil. I love that analogy because you're right. Like if my hand hurts, that means that there's a problem with my hand. It's when I don't feel my hand is when it's fulfilling its purpose, it's doing what it needs to do. So too, we're kind of every human on this earth in a certain sense is like almost like a limb of God, if that analogy works for you, that we're like each limbs of the Almighty and fulfilling a divine purpose, carrying out God's mission in this world, so to make it a dwelling place and a holy place for God to dwell. And so the whole idea is not about what I accomplish and who I become, but it's rather that it's not about me as much as it is about what the task is at hand. What is the goal? What are we trying to accomplish? So let's see if this slide, root of all arrogance, self-obsession, low self-esteem. And so maybe Diane, let's finish us off with text 11. This quote is actually not from his most famous book, Man's Search for Meaning, but from another. He wrote many, many, many books throughout his life. And this is one of them, The Unheard Cry for Meaning, Psychotherapy and Humanism. Text 11.
Give me
Dan,
a
why don't
moment
you read?
to find it.
Page 68.
I'm not good on a phone.
Yeah, while
Trying
you're
to-
looking for
trying to
that
read.
text. Oh, yeah, because you only have the PDF.
Yeah, I
You
don't
think
have a book
you
yet.
think you
Oh,
can
here, I
find it,
found
page
it.
68?
I found it.
Before you read, I just will see the slide. When you're engaged in your purpose, you are aligned with who you are, resulting in true joy. Okay, go for it.
The will to meaning
Mhm.
is not only a matter of faith, but also a fact. Since I introduced the concept in 1949, it has been empirically corroborated, those are big words, and validated by several authors using tests and statistics. The will to meaning is not only a true manifestation of man's humanness, but also a reliable criterion of mental health. I thereby understand the primordial anthropological fact that being human is being always directed and pointing to something or someone other than oneself, to a meaning to fulfill or another human being to encounter, a cause to serve or a person to love. Only to the extent that someone is living out this self-transcendence of human existence is he truly human, or does he become his true self? He becomes so not by concerning himself with his self-actualization, but by forgetting himself and giving himself, overlooking himself, and focusing outward. Consider the eye, an analogy I am fond of invoking. When, apart from looking in a mirror, does the eye see anything of itself? An eye with a cataract may see something like a cloud, which is its cataract. An eye with glaucoma may see its glaucoma as a rainbow halo around lights. A healthy eye sees nothing of itself. It is self-transcendent. What is called self-actualization is and must remain the unintended effect of transcendence. It is ruinous and self-defeating. It is ruinous and self-defeating to make it the target.
Yeah, so, yeah, what were you going to say, Dan?
Well, there's an interesting coincidence about this to share a bit of my personal life. At some point, I fancied myself part of this whole thing of learning oneself. And through that, ended up in a master's program at Temple University to teach people how to self-actualize. And what I concluded at the end of the study of, 87 credits or something, and then getting a job in a corporation to help employees self-actualize, pardon my French, I realized the whole thing was a bunch of bullshit. And I came to the conclusion that the important part was to find our purpose and to pursue it. And ultimately, for me, my self-actualization occurred when I started studying Torah seriously. And that all came around in a circle. It's not really bullshit if we stick to what Hashem wants us to do. I'm not trying to preach, but it comes down to it's look at our purpose and live it.
Okay, Daniel wanted to add something, and when I do put the recording on YouTube, I'll have to bleep out the bleeps.
Oh,
so
sorry.
that's okay. That was okay. And if anyone wants, while Daniel shares his thoughts on page 69, if you start filling out exercise 2.3, it might be a really nice opportunity to reflect on some ideas. Okay, go for it, Daniel.
Oh, I was just saying, like, rock on to Diana. I just thought that was great what she said. I was just saying. That's all.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like raising your hand like you wanted to like interject.
So good to have self-vindication by my peers. Thank you.
And so, Mom, so I feel it's hard to say Sheila because I'm not supposed to say your first name, but Mrs. Kahneman, my mother made a good point at the beginning of the course that I think it all really ties in really, really nicely. That this lecture that you went to with the author of Tuesdays with Maury, how he was only really able to find true happiness when he was able to help others, because it was only when he was able to focus less on himself and be more outward focused and focus what is needed of me to help someone else, or to help a situation. That is when that is true humility, and then that humility results in true joy. And that is how we can have both a positive self-concept of ourselves, at the same time be extremely humble and it not being a contradiction.
If I could just add something,
Yeah.
you know what, I mean, is talking about why you're on earth and why you placed in a certain situation. We don't know why
Mhm.
and what our
For sure.
consequences are. You know, I just something happened recently that brought me joy was finding out that from someone secondhand. I mean, I didn't even talk to this young woman, but that there was a young woman who has chosen. I do healthcare architecture, and who apparently chose to continue with that whole career in healthcare architecture because she was working with me, or at least listening to me when I was on a project. And I honestly don't remember her at all. I mean, she was probably years out of school, but she was watching me work and what I
Wow.
love to do, and it apparently influenced her to go into that career. And I had no idea, you know. I mean, I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't focused on her or anything. I was just doing my
Mhm.
thing. But I mean, when you hear stuff like that, that's what really brings you, at least brings me joy.
Yeah,
You know?
that's a
More,
perfect
more than
example because
even doing a project, building a building or whatever, is knowing how influential you are, but you're not even aware of it, right? I mean,
yeah. No, we have no idea. You know, there's the famous teaching of the Baal Shem Tov. It's brought down that he says that for 70 or 80 years, a soul can be on this entire earth, and but the whole purpose of his being here is just to do one single favor for one other person, and you would just have no idea that that is the, you know, that was the ultimate purpose. Obviously, you know, every moment of our lives is filled with purpose and meaning, but when we can infuse it moments like that, especially you get to hear the end of the story, you know, not sometimes we have so much impact on other people, like we have no clue the ripple effect of like a smile can have on a person, you know, and then that affects their day, and then they affect someone else's day, and then they affect someone else. We just have no clue. So yeah, I think it just goes to show we just have to live with joy now. And you know, as I think it's the Rabbi Nachman of Breslov line. Daniel will correct me if I'm wrong. Right? If you have no reason to smile, you should smile anyways, and then God will give you a reason to smile. Right? Is that Rabbi Nachman? So with that, before we conclude, I would think it'd be amazing. Last week I saved the exercise. We ran out of time, which also we ran out of time this time, um, to do exercise 2.3. But definitely, if anyone has to jump off, the class is officially over. But if anyone has time to try to answer some of the questions in exercise 2.3, and maybe share out loud with the group what your answers are, I think it'd be very meaningful. And then also, as you're doing that, it's always important to end a class with a practical takeaway. Like, what's one practical thing we can do on a very practical level to help actualize like our self-perception of ourselves and recognize the divinity that we have within us, um, and focus on be outwardly focused. And so two things that come to mind for me would be saying the Shema if you don't already do it, and if you do already say the Shema, to think more about what it means, because you're really talking about the oneness of God, and really reminding yourself that you have this divine spark inside of you that is incredibly holy and has this amazing purpose. And then on the humility side is to really to make a before you go to sleep, to make a cheshbon hanefesh, to make a calculation, a small, just think about, what did I do today? At the end of the day, just think, what did I do today to help another person in my life? What's one, just think of, you know, then that could also help hold us accountable and help us be humble and say, hey, you know, at the end of the day, I may have accomplished all this things, but what did I do to help one other person today? So hopefully these are two practical things that you can consider incorporating into your routine, your nightly routine before you go to bed. Just like the first lesson, we did a morning routine. Now we can do a nightly routine. So that is that. Anyone else want to unmute yourself? Now it will be a free-for-all unmuting for all since the class is officially over? Anyone want to share anything? David Cedarbaum, would you like to share anything, as you probably had a lot of time to reflect in nature, right? David, you've been in the mountains and in the pine trees and the forests, had an opportunity to really
I'm not
connect.
dug in with the monks, you know. I'm
Okay, I know, but you've had an opportunity to really, you've had a lot of, alone
well,
time to like reflect.
the only thing, you know, we all talked about looking up to other people and trying to make
Mhm.
sure, you know, just because they're achieving something and we're not, we don't think we're not doing well. How about the other side of that? How many people do you sit with that you don't think are anywhere close to what you are?
Mhm.
You know, how do you handle that? How do you make sure you're not demeaning to those people? You know, and sit back and say, "Boy, you're a boring individual. You don't do anything. Look at me. You know, I'm here with the monk." So,
Yeah, I think a lot of it is really right. In the ethics of our fathers, it's taught that we should be humble before every person, right? That we have to really find the greatness, see the godly spark within every individual, no matter what. And so even if it might seem that, oh, they're not living up to the standard of living that I am living to, or whatever it may be, to see, wow, this person is inherently valuable because they are here, because they're on this earth. And so therefore, just like I have a positive self-concept, self-perception of myself, that I see myself as infinitely valuable in the eyes of God, so too you should see that about your fellow, that, try to see that divine spark within them, maybe. Anyone else want to agree, disagree?
no,
And I'll
I
just,
think most of us would agree. I'm just saying, when we had the discussion, everybody seemed to be talking to people who, what's the right word? I can't figure out the right word. Who are
Mhm.
sort of at a higher level than you, and you know, don't need to achieve that just because they
Mhm.
are. Nobody took the other side. That's all. That's all I was
Oh,
putting.
no, no, it's a good point you're
Playing devil's
making.
advocate. That's all I was.
No, that's good, good.
Humility in both
S-
directions. Yeah.
Because
yeah, I'll,
I think everyone I meet isn't living up to my standard. You know, I mean,
yeah.
your
I
mom's
just want to,
laughing.
add, there's some amazing sources in the appendix text, that, because they, that really help flesh out the concepts that we've discussed. Specific, a lot of them are Jewish sources, but one is actually from this famous positive psychologist that I'm not going to try to pronounce, or I could try to pronounce the name. It's Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who wrote the famous book
Wow.
Flow, and it's an excerpt from the book Flow, and very, very powerful, and it really does parallel a lot of the concepts that we've been discussing, and how kindness leads to joy, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of there. And then next week is job opening you. What am I here for? So really, it's about, okay, now we know we have infinite potential, we have a special purpose, our humility is for the sake of helping others. So now we want to really get to the point of like, well, who are we? What are we about? What is our purpose? So we have, in order to understand that, we have to understand who we are, what is our soul, and then we'll go through the next week and the week after that, really exploring that to really learn more about how happiness thinks. So yeah, without further ado, anyone else want to share any final closing remarks before we sign off?
I was thinking,
Yeah.
maybe it's a sidebar for another time, but
Mm-hmm.
like in a way, there's just thinking through those like two messages. Like one, it would be to like to see my good points, or improve my self concept, but the other is not to think of myself at all.
Oh, exactly. Well, so that's the hard balance, because
Right.
that's why this lesson was a little tricky, because on one hand, the first half of the lesson was all about recognizing your positive self-perception
Right.
about who you are, but then the last half of the course is all about really to like tone that down you know, once you have a positive self-esteem, positive self-concept, then you could learn to push it down, and not in the negative that like, oh, I have a negative self-esteem now, but in the sense that I'm not focused about me, I'm focusing about what I am doing for someone else. What am I accomplishing in this world to help others, or to whatever mitzvahs I can do. So
That makes sense.
okay.
Step one.
Well, it is I slept only like 2 hours last night, so I'm going to sleep really well. On a red eye to New York last night. And yeah, thank you so much for joining, and really looking forward to next week. We're looking forward for David to join us in person in our
See you
Payson
Monday.
library course. Our Payson library, our in-person course is we have a really great group, and we're excited for you to be with us and join that. And anyone that wants to drive with me up to Payson, we'll carpool. We'll and have a great time. So
Be careful, Rabbi. There's a lot of rain coming in.
okay, I will. Okay.
Good night,
Okay.
everybody.
He's from Chicago. He knows how to drive.
Yeah. Okay.
People are worried
Have a
about
good night.
getting a drive in snow. All right. Take care,
Yeah.
everyone. Bye bye.
Okay. Okay, bye. I'm gonna sign off. Stop share and meeting. Oh, hi Zeddy. How'd you like the chorus before I end the meeting? Zeddy? Oh, you have to unmute yourself if you want to share something. That was my fake. I was about to press leave, and then I figured you're still here. So unmute. That's okay. You don't have to unmute. If you want, I'll just sign off. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm glad you got a chance to read a source and participate. Oh, there you are. Zeddy, were you able to turn mute and unmute yourself?
I'm trying. I can't figure it out.
Okay, so that was the problem. There's probably times during the Zoom you wanted to add something, but you couldn't. But you couldn't because you're muted.
I can't hear you.
That's okay. Okay, I'm gonna end the Zoom because I think I gotta get this. I'm gonna remove this AI meeting notes. Is still taking notes and recording, so I'm gonna end now. Okay, have a great night, Zeddy.
Okay.
Okay, take care.